Even though it's daytime, somehow there's still an orange glow from all the illuminated pumpkins. It's as if we're being transported into another world. I look over at Haley and see that she's trying to look at every single pumpkin. She was completely wrapped up in the pumpkins that she didn't notice the log on the ground. As she kept walking, she got closer and closer to the log. I looked up past the log to see if anything would hurt her if she fell, and there was a stake fence about mid-thigh level. If she tripped, she's going to hurt herself badly, I thought to myself. Then, out of nowhere, I got a vision of her tripping and falling face first into the fence. It was as if she fell in slow motion. Her scream hit my ears and echoed, making every bone in my body rattle. She fell lower and lower, and I watched the stake get closer and closer to her body. Before I had time to react, she hit the stake, sending it straight into her head. I watched as her body goes limp and blood starts flowing down her face. Time stops and everyone freezes. She lays there motionless for what seems like forever until eventually her arm raises and points in front of her before falling back down heavily. I look up in the direction and see that person again. They're wearing all black and that unforgettable white mask. They tilt their head and start waving. Before I know it, I flash back to the woods, watching myself get stabbed over and over. Suddenly, everything starts fading in and out, over and over, until BAM! I hit the ground so hard that my head starts to throb miserably. Haley stops dead in her tracks and says, "Oh my God!" She drops down to me and grabs me. "Are you okay? What happened?" She grabs a napkin from her pockets and wipes my forehead, with it revealing to myself that I'm bleeding. I tried to save you," I say with a slight smile. I lift my head and point to the log. She looks surprised and says, "I had no idea. I'm okay, thank you," I say, as I gently grab the napkin from her and sit up slowly. "How's your head feeling?" She asks as she looks at me with a worried look on her face. "It hurts, but I'll be okay. At least it'll make the costume look more realistic," I say, trying to lighten the mood. Haley tries to put a smile over her face, and she says, "You've always seemed to see the bright side to every situation." Haley stands up and dusts herself off, then reaches her hand down to help me up. With her help, I stand up and we walk up to the ticket booth at the end of the pumpkin arch. The girl in the booth looks at me and asks, "Are you okay? You took quite the fall in there." I put a half-hearted smile on my face as I say, "Yeah, I'm okay. Thank you for asking." She looks at me sweetly and says, "Okay, just making sure. If you need anything, please go to the infirmary." "Okay, I will," I tell her. "Tickets for 2, please." After we buy the tickets, we walk in. I'm hit by the sweet aroma of funnel cake and smoke. Now that we're inside, there's so much more to see. Spread over the ground are a mix of orange and red leaves scattered across cobblestone paths. Beside the paths stand lanterns with pumpkins around the bottom. Scattered all throughout the fairgrounds consists of campfires, game booths, and rides such as Ferris wheel, mirror maze, haunted houses, and many more Halloween-themed attractions. "All right, where to go first?" Haley asks me. She looks very eager to start, almost like a child looking through the glass of a candy store. "We can," I start to say, but I'm interrupted by someone running into me. "Ow, what's your Never trust the past," I hear the stranger whisper. They didn't stay long enough after they said that, so I couldn't get a good look at him. "Who was that?" Haley said as she looks at me with a look of concern on her face. I don't know, just some creep talking nonsense. Nothing to worry about, though. Let's keep moving," I tell her reassuringly. "What? Never trust the past? What's that supposed to mean? Surely he doesn't know about what happened. Could he? No, surely not. Come on, just enjoy yourself. You're psyching yourself out again. Just breathe." We continue going along through the evening, enjoying ourselves. The once fear-tainted thoughts I had seem to fade away. I'm enjoying myself for the first time in a long time. "Let's do the Ferris wheel and watch the sunset," Haley says while jumping up and down, holding her cotton candy in both hands. "Sunset?" I said wearily. "What time is it?" I look at my phone and see that it says 7:31. "Crap," I tell myself. "It's going to be dark soon. We have to leave." All at once, I'm reminded of the horrors of earlier today. "We've got to go. It's going to be dark soon," I tell Haley. She looks at me with puppy eyes and says, "But you said we can go on the haunted hayride after nightfall and then leave." "What? When did I say that?" I say with a look of confusion on my face. She looks at me like I've grown 2 heads and says, "Right before you hung up? Are you sure you didn't hit your head hard earlier?" she says with a smile. I roll my eyes and look at her and say, fine, where does it go? I think it just goes around the fairgrounds, she says convincingly, so it doesn't go like deep into the forest or anything that would leave someone stranded with no way for anyone to hear them scream and no hope for miles and miles and miles. She looks taken aback by this, then replies with, no, I don't think so. Why? I can feel my face go red with embarrassment as I say, never mind. Okay, she says laughing. Let's go to the Ferris wheel before they finish up the next load, she says afterwards. Yeah, let's go. We walk over to the line and stand in it, waiting for the next load to finish. When we got on, Haley could hardly stay still due to her excitement. When the ride starts, the music starts playing from the speakers on the side of the seat area. When we get to the top, I look down at the fairgrounds. This must be at least a few miles long. It's absolutely beautiful, I tell myself. I look up at the skyline and see the most beautiful sunset I've ever seen. Shades of orange and red fill the horizon. The clouds look as if they're dancing through the sky. I look over at Haley and see her staring at the sky. There's an orange hue on her face, and she looks like she's glowing. Beautiful, I think to myself. As we start to go down further, I continue to look out at the fairgrounds. As we near the ground, I see that mask that's haunted me for the past 48 hours. I see them wave slowly at me as if they're trying to scare me to death. What do they want from me? I ask myself frantically. I just have to wait a little bit longer, then we'll leave out of here for good. Maybe I'll lose them on the hayride. It doesn't go in the woods, so if I'm never in the woods, then I can't get murdered. But what if it does? Then what? No, you're being crazy. Get a grip. You're not going to get murdered. I'm brought back by something grabbing my arm. Dylan, are you... Haley starts. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of heights that much, I tell her, trying to sound as convincing as possible. I look over at her and see a lifeless corpse replacing the very much alive Haley. Its face is rotted and decayed, with spiders crawling out of its mouth, nose, and eyes. It has a giant gash in its neck and blood is pouring profusely. I look down and see myself covered in blood and spiders. I look back at the corpse and see its head rear up swiftly and smile, revealing a big, gaping hole with missing, rotted teeth and various amounts of bugs crawling in and out, covering its whole face. Then it reaches its arm and grabs me, pulling me closer and closer and snapping its jaws open and shut, trying to bite me. I feel its long, dead nails pierce into my arms. My arm starts to burn painfully as I see the spiders crawl into the fresh cuts. I can't help but let out a scream as they eat away at my flesh. I hear the same laughter I heard in the woods, and I cover my ears and say no, 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 repeatedly to myself. I hate that laughter. Every time I hear it, it seems as if it's strangling me, holding me hostage in my own conscious mind. I close my eyes tightly, hoping the laughter will stop, and feel myself jerk sharply multiple times in different time intervals. The laughing never stops, so I hold my ears even tighter until it starts to hurt. I jerk a few more times, then discover that I'm shaking. Not like small shakes someone does when they're cold, but hard shakes back and forth. I'm brought back to reality by hearing Haley's voice saying with a laugh, "Relax, Dylan, we're done, no more heights." I look around and see that Haley is still sitting next to me. The crazy laughter is replaced by Haley's laughter, and the fair music followed by a lot of other people laughing and yelling. We step off the ride, and Haley's still laughing to herself. "You should have seen yourself. You were screaming like a little baby," she says, followed by more laughter. "I know you said you didn't like heights, but you were screaming like you saw a ghost." "I guess you could say that," I say quietly. We step off the Ferris wheel and start walking towards the entrance to the hayride. What's going on with me? I ask myself. Why do I keep seeing her die? By now, the sun has gone down past the tree line, and the paths are lit up by the pumpkin lanterns. Under different circumstances, I might find this enjoyable. I'm so caught up in the horror that I can't seem to enjoy anything for a few minutes. I look back towards the crowd, searching for the stranger in the white mask, and can't find him. I sigh a breath of relief and turn back. We walk for what feels like miles until eventually we reach the entrance to the haunted hayride. Stay tuned for part 4, I think.